In the first video of this series, we used mods to fix bugs and improve performance and stability. But in this video, we're going to start using mods to actually change things in your game. Welcome to Modding Fallout New Vegas Part 2.
Merrily along, jingle jangle, and they sing, oh, ain't you glad you're single?
The user interface, or UI as we call it, may not seem like the most obvious place to start modding Fallout New Vegas. However, in this game, the UI mods are critically important for two reasons. The first reason is, of course, you spend a lot of time looking at the UI and using it. But the second reason is two of the mods that I'm going to show you how to install are actually essential for a lot of other mods you really are going to want. So we're going to start with one such mod, and that mod is UIO, the User Interface Organizer. The User Interface Organizer is one of those mods you will never see directly in game, but you will see its effects. Because what this mod does is it helps you install mods that add things to the user interface, perhaps to the heads-up display for example, and it does it without you having to do an awful lot of editing of XML files, which is how it used to be done in the good old days. It really does make life a lot easier when installing quite a lot of mods. The mod also fixes some memory problems and reduces menu lag, so all round what I'm saying to you is you definitely want to install this mod. Installing UIO is actually trivially easy. Just go along to the Nexus page, click on the Files tab, and then hit the Mod Manager download button. Download it to the mod manager of your choice, in this case Vortex. Once it's downloaded, hit install and enable. And it really is that easy. Obviously I'm going to go in game and check nothing has broken, but I will not see any changes at this point. Once in game, I am just going to open up the Pip-Boy and make sure everything is fine, because I'm about to install a lot of mods that will change the way this all looks. I'll check the menu and just make sure I've not actually broken anything. Next, we're going to install a mod that will just generally overhaul the user interface. It's going to make it a little better. But we have two choices, and you are going to have to make that choice for yourself. The first choice is the Vanilla UI Plus. This is a mod that enhances the UI without changing the look and feel too much. It still looks very much like the vanilla UI, the fonts are the same, the general style is the same, and more importantly, the size of all of the different things you're looking at has not been reduced. However, you will be able to see more things at once because it makes better use of the screen space. The menus themselves are enlarged so you can see more items. So you can see more lines of dialogue when you're speaking to an NPC. You can see slightly more items or slightly more skills when you're in your Pip-Boy. It's just a general overall improvement without changing that vanilla feel. The second choice is the Darnified UI, and it's a little more obvious how this one is different from the vanilla UI. Once again, it will show more items in your inventory, it will give you more lines of dialogue at a single glance, and generally give you more information without having to scroll quite as much. However, it has a slightly different approach to the vanilla UI Plus in that what it actually does is reduce the size of all of the elements on the heads-up display and things like the font, so you get more items in the same amount of space. Some of the menus are actually slightly bigger, but generally it's a different approach with smaller elements. These are both great user interface mods, but again, this is one of those things where I think you need to make the choice. And to help you make the choice, I'm going to show you how to install both of them so you can actually try them out. Now, Vanilla UI Plus is actually found on the ModDB website. I will leave a link down below. And you can't directly download the mod to Vortex, you're going to have to download it manually. So go along to the Files tab and select the latest version. In this case, it's version 8.29. I'm going to click there. And then I'm going to click Download now. It will start downloading it, in this particular case, to my desktop. The file is now downloaded to my desktop. I'm going to open up Vortex and click the Mods tab. And then I'm going to left click and hold on this archive and drag it to where it says Drop Files and let go. This will add the mod manually. At this point, it's the same process as if I downloaded this from Nexus directly to Vortex. I'm just going to click here. It's going to give me some options. Now I am going to select the default font tweaks. There are some other options, but you know, that's going to be up to you to find out if you want those. I'm going to leave it at default font tweaks for now. I'm going to select the plug-in version. I do recommend you use the plug-in version. It will require GIP-LN plugin. If you followed the previous video, you should have that installed. I'm then going to click Finish and then Enable. When I do so, I get a warning telling me that there are unresolved file conflicts, and I can see that my new Vanilla UI Plus mod has a red lightning strike next to it, as does another mod, the Yukichigai unofficial patch. This indicates these two mods are now, well, basically in a little bit of a fight. Don't worry about it. This is the most normal thing in modding. Go along to the Vanilla UI Plus New Vegas mod and click that little lightning strike, and it will actually give you this pop-up that says the Vanilla UI Plus New Vegas ? It's asking you, should you load it before or after, in this particular case, the unofficial patch? Because what is happening is both mods have installed the same files, or some of the same files. If I click this link here for conflicting files, it tells me which files are in conflict. Don't worry too much about that for now. You'll get used to this. Basically, in this case, you want the Vanilla UI to load after the unofficial patch. This means these files, the one that come with this mod, will actually be the ones that get loaded, not the unofficial patch ones. That's the way you want to do it in this particular case. I'm going to hit save. And now the little icon turns green. We've resolved the conflict. Again, don't worry too much about conflicts right now. If you actually want to know more about the subject, I have got an entire video devoted to fixing conflicts and setting up dependencies on Vortex. I'll leave a link to that down below. I then click deploy, and the mod is now installed. Obviously, it's time to go in game and check it out. Once in game, you can actually see that the menu has changed colour. Don't worry, that is just because this mod has made it so that the menu colour matches my choice of heads-up display colour. If I click on settings now, you can see it even shows me what version of NVSE, GIP-LN and UIO I have, as well as VUI. This is kind of useful information. It lets me see that I've got these installed. If I go to display and change the HUD colour from white to amber, you can see it's changing everything now. And after loading a save, I can go along to, say, the stats and check the skills, and I can now see a lot more skills. The mod has been installed correctly. Before we install the Darnified UI, if you've been following along with this video and you installed Vanilla UI Plus to try it out, you will need to disable it first. That is very easy to do in Vortex. Just make sure you're on the mod section, go along to Vanilla UI Plus, and then go to where it says enabled, click on it, it will switch to disabled, Vortex will redeploy, and that's it. The mod has actually been disabled from your game. Don't worry, you still have all the files in Vortex and you will be able to enable it later on if you want to switch between the two to compare them. As with the Vanilla UI Plus mod, we're going to have to download and add the Darnified UI to our mod manager manually. You can find the page for this mod, I will leave a link down below, but it's over on the Tale of Two Wastelands website. They have got a very up-to-date version of this mod. You will find a download link right there, click on it, and then go to the download icon, click it, and it should automatically download to wherever you default to. Again, for me, it's my desktop. Once the file is downloaded, find it, left click and hold and drag the archive to where it says drop files, release, and the mod is added to Vortex. Again, we can either click on never installed, or if you want you can click install to install the mod and then enable it. Vortex will immediately tell you there is a conflict between Darnified and, once again, the unofficial patch we're using, so click on the red lightning icon and there are 3 conflicting files. Again, do not worry about this. This is not a problem. These 3 menu files need to be replaced by Darnified. So make sure you drop down to after. You're loading the Darnified UI after the unofficial patch. Hit save and then deploy. Now, you're almost finished, but the Darnified UI does use custom fonts, and there are 2 ways to enable them. The easiest is to actually go to a mod that's over on the Nexus mods called the Darnified UI Font Dummies, click on Files, click Manual Download, make sure it downloads. It's going to need to be added manually as you did before, and once the file is downloaded, left click and hold, drag the archive to drop files, and install, enable. And you're done. The Darnified UI is now installed. Let's go and check it out. Once you're at the main menu, you should immediately see that all of the menu options have a new, smaller font, and the Vault Boy head is a little smaller. Hover over it and you will actually get some information about things like the Darnified UI version, NVSE version, JIP LN NVSE plugin version, etc. Then load into a game and check out the real differences. And there it is, Darnified UI working as intended. The extra information on the right hand side, don't worry if you don't like that, if you think it's a bit too much. I will be showing you how to disable that, well, with the next mod actually. Quick check of the Pip-Boy, make sure everything is as it should be. I did mention that there were 2 ways of setting up the fonts for the Darnified UI, but the other way is the way we used to do it before the Darnified UI Font Dummies mod was available, and that was to edit some INI files that could be found in your Documents folder. There's no real advantage to doing it that way, and occasionally when your INI files got refreshed, you might lose the tweaks and have to do it again. This is a much simpler method. So that's it. You can now install the Darnified UI and the Vanilla UI Plus. And indeed, I would recommend you do install both of them and try them out. You can actually leave both of them on Vortex and just switch between them. So I will disable Darnified UI Font Dummies and the Darnified UI now, and then hit Enable on Vanilla UI Plus, and I'm now back to using Vanilla UI Plus. I can go off, test it a little bit, and then after I've done some testing, once again disable it, enable the Darnified UI and the Font Dummies straight after, and I'm back to the Darnified UI. It's that easy. You can now quickly switch between those mods, and I would recommend you do that a little bit, play around with them, see which one works for you best. So hopefully you've now tried the Darnified UI and the Vanilla UI Plus, and you've got a feel for which of them is better for you. Or perhaps you already knew, you took one look at them and you thought, yeah, that UI is the one I want. But now is the time to make a decision and pick one. So you've chosen your UI and it is now time to install one of the greatest and most essential UI mods. In fact, one of the greatest and most essential mods in general for Fallout New Vegas, the Mod Configuration Menu, or MCM as we call it. I actually consider this mod to be one of the great milestones in modding history, at least for the Bethesda Games modding community. It really did change modding for the better. What it does is it adds a new menu option that will let you control any mod that uses it. And there are a lot of mods that use it, and you can change an awful lot of settings, hotkeys, functionality. Basically, it is now considered the de facto normal way to edit, change, or manipulate your mods. Lots of mods use it. It's so much easier than the alternatives we used to use. You really do want this mod. A lot of the mods I'm going to show you will use it, and you'll find a ton more mods that you'll want to install, and they will have extra options available if you have MCM. So let's get this mod installed. Go along to the Nexus mods page for the mod configuration menu, go to Files, and click the Mod Manager download button. Now I'm going to show you how to install this on Vanilla UI Plus first because it is a little easier. Just go along to the mod configuration menu that you've just downloaded and hit install. A little pop-up will appear telling you the version of NVSE that was detected. Hit the install button and then hit enable. There will be a file conflict. There you go. Go along to the mod configuration menu. You can see it's conflicting with Vanilla UI Plus. Go along to the mod configuration menu and click the red lightning icon, and it's conflicting with 6 files. Now, Vortex doesn't give you a suggestion, but I can tell you, you need to put it before. If you load it after the Vanilla UI, as soon as you get in game, the Vanilla UI Plus will throw a warning to you, so you will know if you've got it wrong. Set it to before and hit save. Then hit deploy, and you're done. Going to check in game, although there will be nothing to see at the moment with the Vanilla UI because you don't actually have any mods that use MCM yet. So I've managed to get in game and I get a message telling me that the mod configuration menu has been set up, but if I go to the menu there is nothing there yet. There would be another option here. It will appear later on once we've got a mod that uses it. Don't worry, it's installed. To install the mod configuration menu for Darnified UI, just again go to the mod configuration menu and hit install. You'll get the pop-up. Hit the install button and enable. This time you will get a conflict, but it will conflict with the Darnified UI, not surprisingly, and if I click on the red lightning icon, there is only one conflicting file. It suggests loading after, so I will. However, I can tell you if you're using the UIO, it doesn't actually matter. However, we might as well go with after. Hit save. Deploy. Now we're not actually finished yet. However, I do want to start up the game, partly to see if everything's okay, but also to show you something. Now I load into game and I get the message telling me the mod configuration menu has been set up. And if I go to the menu now, there is a new entry, mod configuration. And that's because Darnified UI actually uses the MCM all by itself. There are some options for the Darnified UI, so this is why it's appearing. However, do you notice it's orange? Basically, the Darnified UI is changing the colour of all of these menu options to match my heads-up display, but the mod configuration option is not. Luckily, there is a patch that will fix that and a few other minor bugs. You need to go back to the site you downloaded the Darnified UI itself from, the Tale of Two Wastelands website, and the second download option is optional file MCM matches HUD. Click there and then hit the download icon to download the archive to whatever your default location is. Once the archive has downloaded, left click, hold and drag to drop files, and hit the install button. You then want to enable that, and of course it will conflict with the mod configuration menu. Go along to the Darnified file you just installed, the red lightning icon, and you want to set it to load after the mod configuration menu itself. Hit save, and that should have, and deploy, and it's done. All that's left to do is start up the game and check it out. Now if I go to the menu, the mod configuration option is the same colour as everything else. So let's take a quick look in the mod configuration, and we have one mod to control currently, and that is the Darnified UI itself. If I click there, I get 4 subsettings: the main settings, meter settings, statistics, and extra settings. And what this will allow me to do is change this heads-up display, the thing I'm looking at right now, and tailor it to my needs. So for example, perhaps I don't want all of the resistances on the right hand side. I can go along to the statistics settings and turn off all of these resistances here. And when I go back to the heads-up display, they've gone. I've still got encumbrance and critical chance. Maybe I want to turn those off as well. Let's have a look. Critical and encumbrance, and so off. You can even remove the little brackets, the things that separate everything, or I could change it to look a little more minimalistic, less meters, or even switch all of those options off if I just want it for the usual settings and I just don't want any of the new stuff. And that is the beauty of the MCM. I can change all of these settings in-game in a user-friendly manner and tailor the experience to my needs, which really is what modding is about. And finally, the last mod I'm going to show you in this video, One HUD. This is a mod that gives you total control of the heads-up display. It essentially hides the entire heads-up display until you need it. It will show you the things you need to see, and it will hide it when you don't need to see it, giving you a very clear screen with very little to distract you, and yet it will still give you all the usefulness of the HUD by showing you, well, the information that you need when you need it. It also lets you move heads-up display elements around, so perhaps you want the compass at the top of the screen, you can do that, and it gives you a few options to add things like a clock or the primary needs. It's probably easier to show you in game once we've installed it, so let's do that now. You're going to go along to the Nexus page and the Files tab, click on the Mod Manager download, and once it's downloaded to your mod manager, click install. Now, I'm installing it for Vanilla UI Plus first, and it's relatively easy. Again, just enable it. There will be some conflicts. Go along to the red lightning icon, and it suggests before, and you should do that. If you don't, if you put it after, you will get an error message when you start up the game. So before, save, and then deploy. And as soon as you load in game, you will see the heads-up display is missing, basically. You still get all of the messages, all the useful messages that you need, but once they fade, you have a completely clear screen. You can enjoy the view without any distractions. Don't worry, you can bring the entire heads-up display back if you press the I key. There you go. You can actually change that key to whatever you want. I'm going to hide it again. There are a lot of other options. I will show you them pretty soon. But for now, I'm also going to show you the fact that we now have the mod configuration menu with Vanilla UI Plus because we have a mod that uses it. If I click there, you can see we now have some options that are for One HUD. To install One HUD for the Darnified UI, you're going to need the main file and the optional file, the TTW Darnified patch. You need to download both of those to your mod manager. Once downloaded, we'll start with the main file, One HUD. click Install and Enable, and of course it's going to conflict with the Darnified UI. Click on the red lightning icon for One HUD, and it's going to suggest that you put it before the Darnified UI and there is one file conflicting, but to be honest it doesn't actually matter because the patch is going to deal with this. So save, deploy, and then the TTW Darnified patch, install, enable, and now it's going to conflict with two mods, both Darnified UI and One HUD. Go to the TTW Darnified patch and the red lightning icon, click on it, and you want to load this after both of those mods. It's conflicting with two of the Darnified files and one of the files from One HUD. Hit save, deploy, and then you're done. Let's check it out in game. And there we have it, a nice clear heads-up display. Press the I key, the heads-up display appears, press it again, and it disappears. But the true strength of One HUD is the fact that it can show and hide these HUD elements automatically without you having to really think about it. So for example, by default, if I pull out a weapon, the crosshair appears, as does the weapon condition and the ammo. If I put it away, it disappears. If I go and look at something like the door, the crosshair will appear again, and so on. If I take damage, the health will appear. There's just a host of scenarios where the heads-up display will respond to what you're doing and what is being done to you. And you can control all of that from the mod configuration. So, if you go along to Immersive HUD, for example, you can change the activation key to whatever you want. You can hide the sneak meter. You can change how long it takes for things to fade away. Because sometimes, for example, if I set the compass to activate when the weapon is out, I can then tell it to fade away 12 seconds later. Let's go back, pull the weapon out. Now the compass has appeared as well. If you can see at the bottom, the compass has appeared. I put the weapon away, and in 12 seconds, that compass will disappear. You'll notice the ammo disappeared a lot earlier. You can control how long that stays for as well. If you go to Adjustable HUD, you can actually move things around. So, let's move the compass. I'm going to click here. It gives you a little message telling you what to do. Essentially, you're using the number pad arrow keys to move the element up and down. I can move it left, right, up, down. And once I've got it in position, I press any key and it saves it there. It's not the fastest thing, but it will get you there. So I'll take it up to the top. And it's now in place. I can also click OK to get rid of that. And this will stay there when in game. I could also hide the compass bracket. So now it's disappeared. Let's go back in game. I'll pull out my weapon. The compass appears in its new position. And so on. There are lots of different options. You can set it up as you please and basically, once again, customize the experience as you see fit. There are some extra options. So there is a clock, and you can tell it to show the clock at any time. There you go. If I do there you go. I've got the clock. And if I go to oHUD Extra HUD and go to clock, under the mod configuration, I can decide when the clock is visible. So let's say it's going to also be when I have my weapon out. I'm putting a lot of priority on when I have my weapon out, but there you go. The clock has appeared as well. Now, if you're using Darnified UI and One HUD together, you may notice there are some elements, for example, the clock, that are provided by both mods. The advantage to using the extra HUD versions is they are controlled by One HUD and will hide, whereas if you turn the clock on from the Darnified UI, it will always be on regardless of whether you've tried to hide the heads-up display or not. It never hides. So that will be there all the time. If you prefer that, you can do that It's completely up to you, which, as I've said before and will keep on saying, is indeed the very spirit of modding. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is it for this video. You should now have a user interface that is a lot better and a lot more customized to your personal tastes. You also have a user interface that's set up to receive a lot of new mods that require certain specialized things like heads-up display elements and a mod configuration menu that is going to be very, very useful. In the next video, I'm actually going to start showing you how to make the game look a little better, something that is generally one of the big draws for modding of Fallout New Vegas. So, if you're interested in that, I'd love it if you could join me for that video. I look forward to seeing you there, and until then, remember as always, have fun.
Merrily along,
Jingle jangle,
they sing, oh, ain't you glad you're singing?